Boom. Welcome to the Breeders' Cup Friday Weekend Preview Show. We will be going over the 5 Breeders' Cup races tonight. Joined tonight, of course, by the Oldy Capital, Michael Oldham, and Brad Anderson, BCBC champion, with us as well. Gentlemen, how you doing tonight?
Not bad, Chris. Not bad. It's kind of I'm going to call this Brad Anderson weather because it's almost the Breeders' Cup here.
Nice.
Yeah, Chris, this is what you want as a horse player, as a fan of horse racing. 2 days of just stellar races. 14 Grade 1 races. You can't ask for anything better. So if you're not excited for this, I don't know how you get excited for horse racing.
No, and the venue is right. I mean, there's going to be some moisture on Saturday, likely, in terms of maybe a tenth of an inch of rain. I don't think anything is going to screw up the surfaces or impact the races that much. But you're down there with the crew. You fly out tomorrow. And then kind of gather up. Are you going to be able to get to the track tomorrow, or?
Yeah, given the time zone difference here from the east to the west, I'll land about 11:30, get to the hotel, and then go over to the track.
All right. That
majority of the card.
Yeah, that will work. We will. I'll be hitting you up for whatever you may like or may not like tomorrow, but and then the BCBC starts Friday, right? All races Friday and all races Saturday are available to bet on. However, there's 10 mandatories, 3, I believe, on Friday and 7 on Saturday, right?
I think it is 6 on Saturday, Chris.
So 9. Okay.
And 3. So I think it's a total of 9. Yeah.
9. So that's $5,400.
No. You're right. There's 7. No, there's 7 on Saturday. You're right. There's 10. A total of 10.
$6,000 of your $7,500 bankroll are dedicated to mandatory. So you have to navigate that to make those not a big bankroll sucker, right?
Yeah, the minimums are there for a reason. I find them a little annoying because it can really deplete your capital pretty quickly.
Mm-hmm.
And this is all about accumulation of capital. So, doing these minimums of $600 just reduces what you get to multiply your winning by. So, the 3 on Friday with being a juvenile races, you got to be careful there. There is one standout that likely will be a majority played in the tournament. So the question is, how do you want to find value out of that horse?
Yeah.
But very quickly, I'll want to get to where the minimums really don't matter.
Yep.
Where I can hit something early, get enough capital, well, then I can kind of sit back and just do the minimum, but it won't have the impact that it could have on a 7,500 starting balance.
Sure.
Yeah.
I know Matt Miller, who you know very well, shares your opinion with the minimums. And I think probably everybody does, because at a certain point in time, you're going to not be able to make all the minimums, right? You're going to have to put enough in on a few races to hit that number to where they're not an annoyance. And that's probably, mid-card through the Breeders' Cup races in terms of, trying to get to 20,000 and then work from there, right?
Yeah, it's kind of funny. The year I won in 2019, an individual beat me with his score, but unfortunately he didn't play the required minimum.
Mm-hmm.
And there is a deduction of $10,000 from your score, which placed him behind me. So it was somewhat of a uneventful backing in. The money was still the same. I didn't care how I got it.
Yeah.
But you gotta be careful. Even if you get a balance high enough, you got to make sure that you are hitting those minimums, even if you do accumulate a balance that gets you to your number.
Yep.
And the question of, I set a target, I set a goal, and then I run different scenarios, looking at what the bets need to be. And I really need to hit 2 or 3 significant wagers for me to get to my target. So the question is, where do you find that? Do you find it on Friday? Do you find it on Saturday? A lot of it also depends on the racing sequence. The pools that I like to play in are the daily doubles. So you really got to look at the sequence and how you form your opinions of getting value out of that pool in order to accumulate that capital.
Fair enough. All right. I think, Oldy, you got any questions? You probably do.
I always have questions, but had many discussions over the last few years about horses and specific sequences and potential plays in the BCBC. And I kind of have an understanding of some of the strategy that will be deployed in terms of where you play and when you play. And so my question to you, if you're a newcomer to this and this is your first BCBC, what piece of advice would you give that person to help them be as successful as possible?
Yeah, knowing you're talking to Derek, because it's his first one, and
But
he's
and all the Derek's out there as well.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you take someone like Derek, who's just a phenomenal handicapper. What he and others in this tournament need to focus in on is how do they accumulate the most capital without just draining your balance. So to me, especially on Friday, I would not play any more than the 3 minimums unless you really have a strong opinion. And I wouldn't play a race for anything less than 600. Because that just it doesn't fit the minimum. You may like to throw a $10 exacta on a couple of long shots. Do that on the cash side. In the tournament side, it just doesn't make enough of a difference when you get to the ending of the balance. So to me, just be careful of that. There's a hole in the bucket with these minimums, and it will drain your capital very quickly. And you get to the point where you're left with not enough money to make a difference to get to a number that's meaningful.
Sure. All right. Well, tonight we're going to go over the Turf Pick 3 on Friday, which is not part of the Breeders' Cup Betting Challenge, but our Breeders' Cup races, 5 races in the sequence. And you put together
let me just clarify, Chris, that we're going to go over all 5 races for Friday, but we're going to go over the Turf Pick 3.
Yeah, we're going to go over the Turf Pick 3 first, and then we're going to pivot back to 7 and 9, just so we can kind of go through this sequence, because Brad, like Matt in the book, A Better Way of Thinking, there are ways to build pyramid pick 3s. And that's kind of the example we're going to give here tonight. With these 3 races, it's a $3 minimum bet. But we'll get into what you're doing in just a minute. But let's go through race 6, where I believe you had 3 horses in here, 2 A's and 1 B.
Yeah, I'm almost done with my handicapping. I still got to hear from Oldy and Justin, because I value their opinion of where these horses are. But I'm pretty close to having my Friday finalized. Some of this will be dependent upon the odds board and what I see. But in this first race, I think, to me, there are 2 horses that really I'm interested in. One is no surprise, is the Japanese horse. I just think, watching the replays, I just like how this horse moves. That last race, it was last out of the gate, and all of a sudden, boom, it was up on the leader. So that is the 8 horse, Ikora Sig, who I really like. Not quite sure we're going to get the price at the market. When I look at the overseas market, he's taking a little bit of money. And then the other horse I really like, and in here I thought the U.S. horses were weak, so I really zeroed in on the Euros, and I ended up with number 2, Asterias, which is probably a little lower or higher odds, I should say, than the other Euros. But I really liked the improvement in the speed numbers of that horse. It battled these Euros in a couple of races. Big Mojo to the inside, Whistle Jacket, and Shareholder, I think. It is raced, and I just think the value is there. So those are my 2 top horses, the 2 and the 8. And then my saver, I think, is the 9 horse, which is a little bit of a wild card, but I really do like the price on that horse. So I'll be leveraging that horse, but majority of my money will go through the 2 and the 8. And then the 9 is the Shareholder.
Got it.
All
Oldy.
right, so Brad, I mostly disagree with you in this race. I actually think the Euros are pretty weak here. And in fact, if you go back in history in this race, the U.S. speedsters have, with the exception of the last 2 years, have dominated. The Delaware turf course kind of supports that kind of speed more than Anita or Keeneland do. So you're moving back to what I would consider a favorable turf course here. And so for me, my lone A is the 10 Governor Sam, who I have in my notes is a tactical hammer. I believe he's the fastest horse here. He has a huge GSR. I would love to get 12 to 1. I don't believe I'll get 12 to 1, but I would love to get 12 to 1. But I have specific issues with your 2 A's. And I'll tell you, Akiro Sig is still a B for me, though, with all that said. It's just that, and I went over this with Chris earlier today, he doesn't care. But the whole thing about him breaking a track record, the 2-year-old track record, or not track record, but 2-year-old age record at 1,200 meters is completely a falsehood. And I hand timed and used the time on the video itself. The time was about 1:08:10, not 1:07:10. It was off by almost a full second. And his first start, the time was off over 2 seconds from actual time to the listed time. And one of the things that pointed me in this direction, and is that Kelly Riley international scouting report, where she happened to mention that 4 horses in that race broke the 2-year-old record, the old 2-year-old record. And if you look at how far back those horses are, there's no way, if the video and the hand time are anywhere close to being correct, that I'm off by 9/100ths of a second to a full second there. And
Randy Moss hand timed and said the time was correct.
Yeah, the time is not correct. I have the screenshots to prove it. And
well, we're not going to go to trial over this, but
from the time that the gate popped to they crossed the finish line, it was, even if you want to give me 1/10 of a second or 2/10 of a second to hit stop, you got to give me 1/10 or 2/10 for when the gate popped. So it's pretty much a wash at 1:08. Let's call it 1:08 if you want to be fair. There's 0% chance that's 1:07:10. And so with those things taken into account, the horse has never been challenged. The fields that he's been in have been incredibly weak. And for me, that those are things I want to see. if I'm taking 7-2 or 3-1 or 2-1 on a horse, I don't want those kind of questions.
Okay.
Yeah,
Fair enough.
Oldy, I'm not. To me, the time is interesting, and to me, when I watch a horse run, I just that horse just moves very, very efficiently. So 107, 108. I'm not too concerned about that. I think Governor Sam is a good horse. George Weaver, I think, has got him in good shape. You got Paco on board. I just don't think, this is a new race. And I think the Euros, you talked about domination. The Euros have dominated the last 3 years because I think they've realized now how to get their young sprinters into this race, as opposed to before they really didn't work on the 2-year-old. So, I think it's a fascinating race. I just zeroed in on the 1 euro, but the other 3 or 4 are also good quality horses. I didn't see anybody other than Governor Sam from a USA perspective. Did you have somebody else?
I didn't really love anybody else either from the U.S. here. There's not a lot of U.S. horses in the race, though. Yeah. And that's the thing. But I'd be Asterius, from what I understand, would prefer a softer course, just from what I've heard about this horse. So I'm on Shareholder as my B, as one of my 2 Bs, even though James Doyle chose Asterius. I'll take William Buick on Shareholder all day there. And I would add Whistle Jacket in there if I don't single Governor Sam, or if I in the Turf Pick 3, or if I play it a different way. And I think Magnum Force 2 closing in an exacta or a trifecta is going to get a piece.
Yep.
All right. I think, Brad, in your Turf Pick 3 here, that was the B race opinion. We're going to get over to race 8, which is the A race opinion. And take us through this one. I think you've got 1A and then 2 C's.
Yeah. This to me is one of your, in my opinion, one of the surefire winners on Friday. The 1 horse Lake Victoria. It's not very often that Aiden sends over his top horses to this race. Typically they send their 2nd string, 3rd string. Lake Victoria, 4 for 4, very impressive. You get Ryan on board. He had speed early, he had speed late. I just looked at this as there isn't a horse that I think can stay with this horse. So to me, this is my lone A, and I really even don't have a B. I've got a couple of C's, but I just think this is a very, very classy horse. And I think this is, as I said, probably my strongest opinion on Friday. It is my strongest opinion.
All right. I'm sure Oldy
Phil, you already know the answer to this because I was in the chat of the Scotty show. I'm dead set against Lake Victoria, both from a pedigree standpoint. I don't think that the horse wants any part of 2 turns. And I think the horse would be the overwhelming favorite in the Juvenile Turf Sprint, where the horse belongs. But with all that said, there was an interview today with Aiden on the breakfast at the Breeders' Cup that I suggest everybody listen to, where he was talking about he didn't really like putting Lake Victoria in this year at a mile, and the ownership overruled him. And since he had to put the horse in at a mile this year, this was the race they chose. And to me, I already didn't like Lake Victoria from a pedigree standpoint. And that backed up to me that the trainer doesn't think that the horse is the distance at 2 years old. And that was let's say the final straw. Here's my other problem here, though, with this race. This race isn't very good in general. And, I don't love thought process. I think Totally Justified has a chance at a big price potentially. And, I also thought Corretto, coming from deep, might be a horse to look out for. But the other horses I liked, I mean, I prefer Heaven's Gate to Lake Victoria here among the Aidens, but Aiden is 1-4-13 in this race. And the common factor in all his horses that have lost was none of them had gone 8 furlongs before coming in. And with the GSR on Heaven's Gate being too low, for me, I'm looking at 7-5-4 here as my A's. And, I want to like Vixen. I want to like Kilwin. I want to like Mayday Ready here, but those wide posts going 2 turns here are death. And so I have to throw Vixen and Mayday Ready out, and Kilwin ran last at Kentucky Downs. And that's how I land on the 7, 5, and 4 as being my only options.
And Oldy, you don't like Frankel on top for Lake Victoria?
It's not on top. It's the dam side, which is all sprint.
Mm-hmm.
And
yeah,
I think from an influence, and this goes to Justify as an influence on in the Breeders' Cup Classic too. If you don't have dirt or distance on the dam side, as the pedigree people tell me, has more influence than the sire side in these situations. And I keep looking at the same way I feel about the Japanese horse in the Japanese American Pharaoh horse in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies too.
The American Bikini.
Yes, where they're all sprint. And that these, to me, from a pedigree standpoint, you could have Frankel, but you got to have something there. And when you combine that with Aiden's record doing this and the words coming out of Aiden's mouth, I just can't see how you could, for me, how I could not toss that horse here.
Yeah, I mean, I've also heard Aiden say this is the best horse he's ever had as a 2-year-old. So I mean, to me, that
both things can be true, though.
Well, but in the years past, he has not sent his best horses. I mean, this horse is probably going to be the favorite in the Guineas 1000 and 2000 next year. I think this is a different level of horse than we've seen run in this race. But you're right. I mean, I think thought process, has a win at Del Mar, 3 for 3 on the turf. I think it's interesting. I kind of like Mayday Ready. I really like that last race at Keeneland with a nice improvement on speed figures with Frankie on board. So I think there's some other alternatives. I just look at the class of that horse and just say there's enough there for me to make it my strongest opinion. I know there's not going to be value there. I know that horse is going to get bet really heavily. I wouldn't do a single win bet, but I will try to leverage in other pools and ways to make some money.
Yeah.
All right. So I think, Brad, you are topic there, the one, Lake Victoria. Your C's, you don't have a B. Your C's here are the 7 thought process and the 12 Mayday Ready. Oldy is 7, 5, and 4 on his A's. And he also gave a nod to Heaven's Gate, the 8. Wasn't Heaven's Gate that Colt?
No, Heaven's Gate is the other Aiden O'Brien here.
The other Euro, yeah.
Yeah, by Churchill out of an unraced. But go ahead.
Anyway, moving on to race 10. You guys have been far apart here. This has been very, very intriguing. So race 10, and then we'll get to the ticket, Brad. This was the C race for you, where you had a couple in the A slot, one in the B slot and one in the 9 slot, and then I will show what the ticket is after that.
Yeah, this one, I just, the Europeans have dominated, but I just thought this was a wide open race. I couldn't get a clear feel of who really was going to be the winner. There's a lot of different options to go. So I ended up with the 2 euros, the 4 and the 12, the 2 Appleby horses being my A's. And then I liked a little bit of that Japan horse. Starting to hear a little bit of a buzz on that horse.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think in the C's, then I landed on the Waco Kid, which is the long shot Euro as well. So really looking for a price here. I know the 4 and the 12 are probably going to be maybe second and third choice behind the 11, but really looking to get a little bit of a multiplier on the odd side here. But I think this is a wide open race, and I really don't have a strong opinion other than I needed to narrow down to be efficient in the way that I'm going to bet it.
Fair enough. Oldy, any synergy here or?
The Japanese horse, yes. But the Japanese horse is, I'm going to say a low A for me here. And all right, so let's. This was a very tough race, Brad. I agree. I think maybe I just kept looking at, first of all, I'm tossing the wide post without speed here. And same in the last race we just discussed. I'm tossing the Waco Kid. And, I am tossing Dream On. So these were the horses I was considering between. Oh, missed one. Sorry, Iron Man Cal out of there too. Those are the horses I was considering between. Those would be my A's and B's. With my A's being Zulu Kingdom on top. I think maybe I'm just being not. Maybe I wasn't being as intelligent here, and perhaps the answer is just the Chad Brown here. In terms of an A standpoint. I do think there is a possibility, and we've all been discussing it today, that Menti is just too fast for these horses. If Menti would have stayed in the turf sprint, I would be would have been a break the bank play for me. The GSR says it belongs in the turf sprint. That's the full brother to fierceness. I do think that there's a big possibility that horse is just faster than everybody here and gets the 2-turn mile distance. So that's my second A. And then I was 1-7. So I went 4 deep here with the Japanese horse Santano Carnival, and then Seagull's 11, the European horse that has Sayas aboard.
Yep. Oldy, on Menti, I'm really intrigued by this horse.
Yeah.
Do you find it odd, though, that he just switched to turf? Just the last race, he switched to turf, and he looked really bad against Chancer McPatrick and Ferocious in that dirt going longer. So that's why I'm a little leery on it. But I agree. I mean, and Todd's training, so Todd knows what he's doing, and he's got some good bloodline there.
Well, so, and Oldy, what I saw with go ahead.
What were you gave your ditches out? Give me those one more time.
So it is 5, 10, 1, 7.
Got
it.
So no similarities there between us. No surprise.
Nope.
Well, I don't mind Al Kudra. I will probably use it when I spread here. I think Noble Confessor is I have some interest. That's the other Pletcher who almost stole the grade 2 as a maiden, still a maiden. And Pletcher does have a record of winning races he shouldn't with maidens. So,
Mhm.
but with all that being said, I think the other one we're ignoring is Minuet Station for William Walden. But
Did I see? I thought I saw that horse scratched, Oldie.
okay. If so, I haven't seen it yet because I had all my
Maybe
scratches
somebody
marked.
in the chat could confirm that. I thought I
I thought
saw.
that was Tenacious Leader that scratched here, and
Well,
all the
yeah.
the AEs did. But um, I am hearing a lot of buzz on the Japanese horse. I have the same. So what I saw with Menti in the video and watching that race live, the 6 furlong turf race, was a very short turfy stride. And maybe that's why they moved the horse there. I don't know. But I just wonder, and maybe this horse just sits right off too, and pounces like it did in that race, or the this is a 3 outcomes horse for sure. This horse could lose by 20 too.
Yeah. Right.
All right, let's get over to Brad. How you're going to bet this Big 3?
Why don't we let Brad also hear our Scottish punters' opinions on these races? I think he'll be happy to hear what the.
Oh, I would love to hear that.
Bring Matt in. We had a good set with him earlier.
All right, so this is race 8.
Oldy, I'm not getting audio.
So this is the Juvenile Fillies Turf.
Oldy.
What's up?
I can't hear it. Can you?
You guys can't hear it? Can anybody
No.
hear it?
No.
All right, let me try this a different way. Hold on. See if I still have those files open. Why am I hearing it and you guys aren't there? Give me 1 sec here. Present.
Technical difficulties.
Yep. Let me
Brad, where do you guys stand in relation to the track?
It's about 15 minutes away.
Oh, okay. I'm sure dinner reservations are all set up. There's a plan.
Yeah. Yeah, well, we had a great trip out there in 21.
Mm-hmm.
So we're trying, we're a little bit superstitious. We're going to follow the same.
Can you guys hear?
thing.
Let me try this again and see if you guys can hear this. No?
No.
All right, let me you guys chat and give me 1 second to reload this a different way.
Yeah, that's a good point here, folks in the chat. Is anybody going to be on?
Yeah, is anybody else going to be out there?
Yeah. Anybody? Any of you? Anybody? Bueller?
It's like John will be.
Partnerships, yes. They're looking for partnerships. Good luck. All right, Oldy, where can I get this thing up here? If not, Oldy, we're going to move on.
We're almost there, so hold on. I just got to find the right. That one, I believe.
Oh, well, there's going to be Willie's going to be at Woodbine watching his 2-year-old.
All right, let me know if you can hear it this time.
Not hearing anything.
Nothing?
Nothing, unfortunately, Oldie.
Yeah.
All right. I am not sure why, but we'll go ahead and skip that.
we'll test tomorrow. All right. Let me share my screen. So we went over those 3 turf races, Brad. This is kind of what you sent me. This is your typical pyramid pick 4. I'm going to zoom in on this too just a bit. Let's get that 150%. That way people can see it. And there you go. All right. So you went over the horses you liked, what your race opinion was for the 3 races. 2-8 in the A slot, 9 in the B, a big confidence pick in the 1 with the A race, with 7 and 12 as sort of the backups. And then, kind of the spread race for you. So you're playing 3 tickets, 1 at the base.
Yeah. And Chris, maybe let me just add a little bit of background here. To me, what I like about this structure for me is if I am right, I am going to get paid. And I need to be right in 2 of the 3 legs of this ticket to really get paid significantly well.
Yep.
So, first I go through and look at the races and give me the, what race am I really confident in? Which am I not? What's the lesser? And you'll see my grades there. And then I do a traditional ABC. And anybody can do this. You don't have to use my horses. My horses are my opinion. You can use Oldy's horses. Oldy is his opinion. That's what makes this sport so great. We all have different opinions. But then I go through and say, okay, if I am right, I want to get paid more than the base level. So this is a $3 minimum ticket. So what I'll do is I'll play 3 tickets where in a pyramid style with the bottom being my base layer. That's all my horses.
Yep.
Then I have a mid ticket, which is in the middle, and then I have a top. Now I have shown here examples of how I would increase that base level. 1x, 2x, 5x. You can change that to have a base of 5x. The mid is 10x. Your top ticket can be 20x. It depends on what that base wager you're comfortable with. But then what I do is I structure these where I take my best opinion. So take that top ticket. My best opinion, according to my handicapping, is I want the 2 and 8 to win that first leg. Strongly believe the 1 will win the second. And then I have 2 horses in the third leg. And that third leg is where you'll see I'll spread a little bit more on that mid ticket because I view it a wide open race.
Fair enough.
You've got to be careful here that you don't include too many horses, or all of a sudden this ticket can be very, very expensive. So it's all about leveraging your best opinions of the day and how do I want to get paid if that best opinion is right. And here it is that 1 horse in race 8 that I believe is going to win. The odds are going to be pretty low, but if you can tap into other pools like this pick 3, that is a way that you can get paid on that 1 opinion.
Yes, fair enough. And like I said, I mean, and if there are like 4 of you out there that just want to share this with each other, each other, these are easy things to do where you all get 25% of this for, $51. So these things are doable, but like you said, you want to get paid. And I think that's the most important thing. And you leverage your opinions. So, all right.
You want to get paid and you want to be efficient, Chris. The problem when doing this is in a group is it's hard to really come to an agreement on the A, B's, and C's because of everyone's different perspectives and everybody's different handicapping styles.
Sure. So
you just got to be careful that you just don't balloon this up to a very high price ticket just to include everybody's A's.
Exactly.
So you got to have an understanding of the group. If you want to do this, you've really got to be zeroed in on horses and not, I've got 3 A's. I've got 3 A's in leg 1. I got 3 A's in leg 2 and 3 A's in leg 3. That's not going to work under this model.
No, because it'll blow it up too much. But that doesn't mean that you can't play those in double pools and everything else, depending on how this particular wager is going, right? Because if you're playing cash, on the side of the tournament, obviously this isn't a tournament play. That will kind of dictate things you do as well, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
It's all about getting paid for your best opinion. So whatever pools, I mean, I'm not a very strong exacta and trifecta player like, Oldy and Justin and others are, but you could use the same model in a trifecta. You just want to get paid if your opinion is right, as a way to increase the value you get from your opinion.
And by the way, that's how Derek won his seat to the BCBC, the exacta pool and the trifecta pool. That's
my hat's off to that. I struggle with those wagers, so I just have kind of given up on them, and I continue to try and learn, but they're hard for me.
Well, when he sent them to me right before they went off, he did it exactly how you're supposed to do it. The ticket that had the least amount of money had the highest price horse in first. The ticket that had the most amount of money had the favorite in first with his second pick. And, either way, he was going to get paid because I think it was 9-5-9 or 9-5. I think the 9 was the longest shot and just got beat at the wire. But, he got that exacta for a ton and he got the trifecta like 100 times.
That's
and,
awesome.
That was enough to get him to 8,500 and get a seat and get, he's ahead $8,000, whatever happens, based upon what he was in. So,
yeah.
All right, Oldy, let me get back to you and let's flip back over to.
I believe I have our situation fixed here. Give me 1 second.
Okay.
To share this out the right way. Can you go ahead and add the cloud PC screen there?
That one? Oh, the cloud
Yes.
one. Oh, that's not it. This is the one. There you go.
Ready? All right, so this is race 8.
Hey, we're here joined with our friend Matt in the Stretch Run chat. He's from Scotland. He's with us every weekend, sometimes during the week playing the horses. EquinEdge user, international EquinEdge user. Matt, welcome. Tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got into racing.
So racing was a funny one for me. Believe it or not, I used to actually do show jumping. So I always had a horse background anyway. So we used to breed them and train them and things like that. And then I got to an age after traveling around the world a bit and came home and Mum told me to get a job. So I got a job and went away. And then I thought I really want to be involved in the horses again. Well, a bit too old to ride, put on weight, got a family. So I just started looking at the horses again in the racing and just put myself to, a bit handicapping. And then I noticed I just much prefer the American racing. You've got so much more data, so much more information, like all the fractions, all that. There's nothing like that on the European racing. So I really love the American racing, and especially the Breeders' Cup and the Derby Trail. I love the Derby Trail. So,
yeah, and I know you get different odds over there. Sometimes you get fixed odds. I think you just had found a way to play multi-race wagers, right?
Yeah. So over here, what we get is it often like the odds can sometimes be different. Earlier, I put one in the chat earlier actually, and it was 20-1. Yeah, I don't know what price it was where you guys were, but like we always either get shorter or longer. We don't get the pick sequences. Sometimes on one sports book, which is Bet365, they'll sometimes offer them, but it's very unheard of. We normally get what we would call accumulator bets or parlays, you would call them. But you can have them different ways. You can have them to place. You can have them to either place or win. You can have them at different tracks as well. And so all at the same time. So you can bet in California, Florida, Indiana, all at the same time. So totally different.
Awesome. All right, we're going to go over 4 races with you here. What's the first one you want to go through on Friday?
The Fillies Turf.
Filly Turf. All right, Oldie, take it away.
All right, so the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies Turf. So, Matt, where are you on this race, and what horses are you looking at right now?
I'm not always a chalk player. I always try to beat a chalk, but I sometimes think that you've got to determine is the chalk beatable or not. And for me, I really do like Lake Victoria in this spot. I don't like a price, but I do like her in the spot. So I know it's not Aiden's strongest race. I don't think he's got the biggest.
Apparently, it just cut out on us, but um, he likes Lake Victoria there. And then he did not like anything else that was his lone A. And Chris, you're muted, but you can agree with that.
Yes, 100%. It was Lake Victoria, and then he was lost after that. He didn't have any B's, any C's, D's.
I haven't met Matt, but I like him.
Brad, I even offered him, okay, let's say if Ryan Moore falls off the course coming out of the gate. That's how much he likes Lake Victoria. So, and this is the
all right, I think we're going to turn our attention now to the Juvenile Turf on Friday. Oldy, Matt, let's get into that one.
So, Matt, the Juvenile Turf, this looks like. Are you guys not hearing it all of a sudden?
Yeah, it's frozen.
So I mean, with this, normally with the Breeders' Cup, a lot of people go, all Charlie Appleby, and they forget a lot more about Aidan Bryan. I didn't like as many as Charlie Appleby's horses this year. I don't think he's got as strong as a crop as he normally has, but I do like the one he's got in here, which is New Century. So this one does really interest me with this one. I think it's probably one of the best ones that Charlie Appleby's got here. Unlike normally comes and dominates. That's why I think Aidan O'Brien is actually going to do a lot better this time round. I think it's Charlie Appleby doesn't have any Dubawi, so that seems to be the problem. I think I did note down a couple of different, as you said, wide open. So I thought Alcudra, Henri Matisse, Amori City, the Waco Kid. I thought that they're all there. But I think New Century, reversing the rules from which I think was the last at Woodbine, was it?
Yes, correct.
With yeah. So I think it definitely reverses the rules. Yeah, nice wide draw it's got. Again, not the best price, but I think the price will probably drift out with this one, to be honest. So I do like this one here.
In terms of pace scenario, what do you kind of envision on how this race will play out?
I often like the Europeans on, especially the distance. Europeans are very distance orientated. Because I've always looked at this whenever I try and that's why I really enjoyed coming into American racing, because I love the handicapping theory, of really going into the data, really looking. You don't get any of this data in the UK, like in UK races, so I find it so much harder to follow. But I always found that if you look at American racing, you look at European racing, although they're both flat thoroughbreds, they've got two different goals, if that makes sense. Europeans are always trying to breed distance horses. Yeah, like distance. I mean, I know we've got the Belmont Stakes at 1.5 miles, but that's a standard race on a Thursday night in like Newcastle. They breed long distances. Whilst over here in America, you're trying to breed. If you think about like the Breeders' Cup and the the Triple Crown series, you're trying to breed that horse that runs a distance at speed, and that's what I love about that. So I think the wide draw here will certainly give it's going to avoid trouble for New Century. I think it's going to give it a lot of time if there is any mistakes or if anybody's pushing in that wide draw, and especially obviously with the distance, he'll be able to pick a spot. I think it'll track on the outside.
All right.
I think he just needs to stay away from Dream On, who fouled him pretty significantly at Woodbine and probably cost him the race. So.
Yeah. So I think this post gives that, although it's a wider draw. So I think that when you've got big fields, I prefer being away from the rail. If you've got sprints and shorter fields, I much like Sandra Anita on the 6 furlongs. I often find like the 5-horse race, the inside works better, but with these big races, and that's another thing to note as well with the European horses. Always remember they're used to large fields. It's common. Like it's not very common in America that you get 12-horse races. Unless it's Kentucky Downs. But other than that, normally it's so I think a lot works advantage wise that way for for the Europeans. So yeah, definitely. I think that's Charlie Appleby's best shot anyway. So
all right, that's the Juvenile Turf, and we will see how that race plays out on Friday.
All right, so he liked New Century. there. And I think it was interesting. We definitely, Chris, have a new saying, which you guys will hear when he talks about City of Troy tomorrow, which is that he's marmalade. So I think that's going to become a new show saying. I'm going to start calling things marmalade
Yeah,
because we didn't actually get an explanation of what that meant. But
I knew
um,
it. I knew what it meant. I think you did too, but we'll get there tomorrow. So we're gonna go back to the odd races here, 7 and 9th. Del Mar race 7. We got the Fillies, grade 1 Fillies 2-year-olds, Net Jets, Breeders' Cup, Juvenile Fillies, 8.5 furlongs on the dirt.
yeah, so
Oldy, you go first.
yay. I think you all know, if you guys know me, you know where I am on top here. My second A actually got scratched out of here as well. I like the Baffert non-compliant here as well. But I am 3, so Immersive, who the undefeated Brad Cox horse, 4 straight, 4-star works, more of a grinder than a horse that makes you say, wow, I can't believe that horse won by 20 lengths, but grinds enough just to get there. And when I say get there, wins by, a little over a length each time. Cox, from my understanding, really likes the horse. There's a video out there on the Kentucky Horsemen's Association of him talking about Immersive. So I'm I'm chalky on top in this leg with Immersive, who's also the top E pick and top win percentage here. I also like Luck, and this is a much longer price. I like La Cara, the 4 horse, who won the Pocahontas, has been on the shelf, but is working big for Mark Casse. And Casse has, I'm not sure if Santana's still riding after the news that came out this weekend where he was allowed to ride after getting arrested in the morning for drunk driving. But with all that being said, this horse has a 4-star work. It has similar ability to his horse a couple of years ago that won this race. I'm drawing a blank on the name, where the horse was tactical and could be on the lead. And Brad, I think we both like that horse going into the next year, and it really disappointed us.
Yeah, right. I forget the name, Oldy.
Yeah, I'm drawing a complete blank on the name, and it was in my notes, and now I can't find it. But I think this horse is very sneaky here if somebody like Immersive doesn't win, because this horse can sit pretty much anywhere. And the ability to close, if American Bikini is as fast and short as I think American Bikini might be, that to me, and I'm pretty sure Snow White, who I believe we called Snow ET or something like that the first time on the show when we didn't know it was Snow White. And I think Scottish Lass, the pace number on Scottish Lass is, and the figures are East Coast bias New York figures. And I like Scottish Lassie, but I just don't think that this horse was faster than Immersive. And I think that field was far weaker as well. So I think you could give a note to Nooney if American Bikini's not that fast, because I don't think Vodka with a Twist is as fast, and there are multiple races where they've both been in there that prove that. I just question whether Nooney can get the distance as well. Thoughts, guys?
Yeah. You want me to go, Chris, or do you want to go?
No, absolutely, Brad. Take it away.
You know, American Bikini, I mean, we call her a Japanese horse, but she's bred and born in Kentucky. She's actually purchased more. I think it was like 1.9 million for American Bikini, and I think Noonie was 1.8 million as a as a yearling. So I mean, two really high priced yearlings. I landed the same way you did. I really like Immersive. I just, you said it well, Oldie. Not early speed. Doesn't look, like it's just going to pull away, but definitely grinds down the competitors. Those races at Keeneland and Saratoga were pretty special. American Bikini, I thought, beat the boys in a Japan Stakes race, stretching out. I think has the best speed figures when you do a little bit of a translation. So I really like that horse. The other horse I give a little bit of shot to was Quick Kick. So the Tom Amos horse with Dylan Davis on board. I thought it lost to Immersive in that prep race, but I really thought it ran a pretty good race. And I like Quick Kick over Scottish Lassie. I'm with you, Oldie. If that number is as high as it is, I think that horse is going to bounce, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I mean, it was just a huge, I think it ran a good race. I think I saw the time was just a little bit slower than Chancer McPatrick ran later in the day. So she does have some skill. I just put her below those other three that I talked about.
Question from the chat real quick here, guys. Thoughts on Vodka with a Twist? First year sire does have a few route wins to stretch out. Can D'Amato surprise?
I mean, losing 6 points in GSR, never really passed anybody, so probably needs the lead. Those are the two things. More than getting the distance for me, though, is I don't think this horse is as it wasn't in the Sorrento or the debutante as fast as Noonie, and I think also needs the lead, and then there's the distance question on top of that. So to me, it's too many, and probably finish at great point, Chrissy. Probably could easily finish in the money if it can get the distance, because that's been the horse's pattern.
Yeah, I agree. I think Vodka with a Twist is interesting underneath. I mean, if you look at those last two races, battled really strongly, but as you said, Oldie just couldn't get by. So I think that horse will be there. I just don't think it has enough to win.
And I actually like the other Japanese horse, the Scotty Longshot, Adamino Shacho, we'll call it, because I think this horse is bred to on the dam side to run all day, and yes, was completely dusted in a maiden race sprinting against American Bikini, but I think one wants distance and one wants to sprint. By My Lady Curlin, or Milady Curlin, I've heard it pronounced both ways, who, for Brad Cox, was an excellent distance horse, a stakes winning and graded stakes winning distance horse, out of Curlin, obviously. So, I think that this horse has some underneath potential as well.
You know what else I found odd was that Ryan Moore jumped on American Bikini. So I guess he's looking to get a little more dirt experience and got to pick a pretty strong horse. I was just really odd that they didn't keep a Japanese jockey with that horse.
I do agree with that, actually.
All right, that's race 7, Oldie. Let me get your picks plugged into my my notes there. What were your top selections there in race 7?
All right, so if you don't want to have to write it down, it's already in the spreadsheet.
Oh, perfect.
So so everybody has it. It's in the spreadsheet. It's written down as 3, 4, 8, but it should be 3, 4, 10. There.
Gotcha. Okay. over to race number 9.
Race number 9. And I have a feeling Brad, we're going to have different opinions here.
No, say it isn't so.
All right. Surprise, surprise.
So my A's here are the two Bafferts, Citizen Bowl and Gaming. With Gaming being my top play here. I do know there's a GSR drop there. Gaming's lightly raced, beat Citizen Bowl in the Delmar Futurity. I can't say that. I was trying to say it, but I can't. Citizen Bowl did then bounce back and win the American Pharoah. Citizen Bowl is working better, but has been a better workhorse. Was outworking Gaming in the before the Delmar Futurity as well. I think both horses can rate. I know that Gaming for sure can. And I think Getaway Car, the 2 for Baffert, is going with East Avenue and going to ensure that East Avenue doesn't get away. Getaway Car, who I think a lot of us believe is just a sprinter. And, that there is the other Baffert factor if you do like Getaway Car as well. My B here is Jonathan's Way, who's the long shot. I just don't think there's enough speed here, and I think that the configuration of the track with the short finish line or short stretch at Delmar, based on the numbers I've seen for both posts and finishes, makes it very difficult for Chancer McPatrick to win here. And I'm hoping he goes off a 1-5.
Yeah.
All right, so Oldy, you're 7-5 here in this race.
No, I'm 7-6.
Okay.
And then 5's my B. So 7,
Okay.
6, 5.
7, 6, 5. All right, Brad. What do you
Well,
got?
I feel like I need to be wearing the Godolphin blue on these picks, but my top A is East Avenue. Just an impressive wire-to-wire winner, Keeneland, on a 2-turn race. I didn't like the post. I would have loved to have something outside, and as Oldie alluded to, you get speed right inside of you. So that's the only concern. But I just think that Tyler's aboard, has ridden this horse, really like the form that it's in. I'm also a lot on Jonathan's Way. It's a B. Not very often we're cheering for an Ohio bred, but I really liked the guts of this horse. I just really liked the way it battled. Maybe not as much improvement on the speed figures that I would like, but really has a lot of heart. I was intrigued by Gaming. One maiden at Delmar, the last race at Delmar. So I think it's the horse for the course. I just fell off that horse when it came to putting it as a B. And then my other B is Chancer McPatrick. I get it, Oldie. I think no 2-turn experience. It's going to have to come off the pace, the short stretch. But I do think there's a lot of talent in that horse. It may be the best longer-term 2-year-old out of this group. So I made that a B. My lone A is East Avenue, and then I've got Jonathan's Way and Chancer McPatrick.
Yeah, I don't think you can go wrong with the Pratt angle there too. He knows how to run there. If he can carve out a trip, that horse could certainly be right there. But Oldie, that's the 5 races on Friday. We will be back tomorrow night with you, me, and Justin to going over the Saturday races. And then we'll be live here for the last 30 minutes for the last 5 Breeders' Cup races on Friday. And then, of course, all day on Saturday, David Harrison and Derek joining us both days. closing thoughts, Oldy, and then we'll leave it to Brad.
It's the Breeders' Cup. Most years you see some crazy prices and some crazy chalk, and you just got to determine where your crazy chalk is and where your prices are, and then play your opinions. So, Brad and I have very different opinions today. With tomorrow, we could be very similar for all I know. But, we press those opinions that you like. So if you are in a position where you catch those prices you think are going to happen and you have the right chalk, you're going to get paid. And that would be my advice to everybody. I want to thank everybody for being in the chat, interacting with us, and I especially want to thank Brad for coming on and joining us today.
Yeah, I will. I won't be able to catch the show live tomorrow night, but trust me, I will watch that before the races on Saturday, because I really do. Part of the sport of what I love is just gaining different data points, and everyone's opinion is a different data point to me. And my handicapping style is I get my own opinion, and then I listen to people that I really respect, and there's a couple of them that'll be on tomorrow night that I really respect their opinions, and I'll use that maybe to adjust my opinion or maybe not. But I just want to thank you guys. I think you guys do a phenomenal job for the horse player, entertaining. We can't be too serious about this. We've got to enjoy life, and you got to be humble when you're right, and be pissed off when you're wrong. But that doesn't mean that you still can't stay as friends. And this event out in Del Mar is all about seeing great friends, and of course just great horse racing. So good luck to all. May you have a lot of booms, as Oldie would say, over the Friday and Saturday, and let's just enjoy some great racing.
All right, Brad. Well, good luck to you. I'll be interested in your BCBC plays, and that will pop out there once races go official and whatnot. But it'll be fun to follow along with you and Matt
and Derek, cheering Derek on as well.
Yeah, cheering Derek on, and Paul Halloran and Howard Kravitz and the whole crew that's out there with Matt Miller and whatnot. But you guys have fun. We will be back here tomorrow night for Saturday races, so join us then. Oldie has the final thought.
Yeah, so just a tease for the live shows as well, or the during Breeders' Cup racing shows. We're going to have we have taped and we'll be playing appearance by Dave from Racing Downwind especially to talk about the Japanese horses. And I think he's going to give some opinions that you're not going to be able to get elsewhere because of his knowledge of Japanese racing.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
just a little tease there for Dave's appearance, where it was fantastic, the stuff he went over, and we're very much looking forward to being able to play that for you guys.
Yes, good stuff from Dave Duncan on the Japanese horses and the Euros, with opinions in a few other races. So we'll air those as they come up on Saturday. Thank you all for joining. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button on the way out. Appreciate it. Brad, safe travels. I'll
absolutely
when you're on the ground. Did we lose him?
No, I'm here.
Okay. I was just saying, good luck. I'll get with you when you're late on the ground tomorrow, and good luck on Friday and Saturday, my man.
Yeah, gotta be lucky. Gotta be lucky.
And may all your horses be marmalade.
Yes, we'll get to that tomorrow. See you guys.
See ya.